0 to 60 in the Demon 170.
بچه‌ها خوش اومدید به این ویدیو. امروز قراره که داخل این ویدیو بریم و تست و بررسی دو چلنجر رو داشته باشیم، مگه نه؟
آره.
بریم و قراره که ببینیم دو چلنجر چی هست و چه جوری و یه سری خرت و پرتا از زمان یکی از دوستامون و از زبان یکی از یوتیوبرامون هست. بریم.
How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to show you what it's like to drive the all-new Dodge Demon 170 from a first-person point of view. With a 0 to 60 time of 1.66 seconds, this is the fastest production car to 60 miles an hour of anything ever made. Yes, that's right, faster than a Tesla Plaid and faster than the multi-million-dollar Rimac Navara. Under the hood of the Demon 170 is a 6.2-liter supercharged V8 making 1,025 horsepower and 945 pound-feet of torque. The result is 0 to 60 in 1.66 seconds and the quarter mile in 8.9 at 151 miles an hour. Now, the easiest way to tell a Demon 170 from a standard Demon or even another Hellcat is that it's missing the front fender flares. So you can see in the back, we've got these widened fenders. That's to allow for massive 315 section rear tires, Mickey Thompson ET Street Rs with a massive sidewall. Those are only 17-inch wheels. And in the front, we've got 18-inch wheels with 245 section tires. Getting rid of those fenders saved 16 pounds from the front, which is important for weight transfer. This thing needs to transfer its weight from the front to the back during a launch, allowing it to get more traction off the line. Another way to tell is if you come to this massive intake, it says alcohol injected right here, a nod to E85. If we come around to the Demon emblem, it's got a yellow eye. That's because E85 is distilled from corn, which is yellow. The Demon 170 comes from the factory with only a driver's seat. Yes, that's right. You have to pay $2,000 to option in a passenger seat or rear seats. And if you want them in leather, that's an additional $6,000. Pretty wild that it comes from the factory with only one seat. We've got a beautiful Alcantara steering wheel, paddles for the 8-speed automatic transmission, some carbon fiber throughout. Let's go ahead and hop in. To fire up the Demon 170, we'll go ahead and click the engine start-stop button. Now the key, really cool, it's finished in red. You don't actually get a black key like the other Hellcats. And it also has yellow on the Demon logo, once again to symbolize corn. We've also got the Demon emblem right there. Now, it's got a variety of really cool driving modes. It's got a load of the speedometer, 6,000 RPM redline, 220 miles an hour on the speedo. But over here is where things starts to get really cool. So if we go down here, you'll notice there's a series of buttons. We do have heated and cooled seats, which is nice. The climate control works well. We've got an SRT, a launch, a trans brake, and traction control. So let's run through them. SRT, when we click that, performance pages come up on the display here, and we have different driving modes. So we can go over to drag. This is activating drag mode. It's sensing that we have E85 in the car, so it's giving us that full 1,025 horsepower. If we don't have E85 in the car, or a mixture of E85 and 91, it's going to give us a little bit less horsepower. Full 91 is 900 horsepower, but it can actually have a difference between 900 and 1,025 depending upon the ethanol content. Different driving modes to choose from as well as different launch control setups. Now, if we go to here, we can configure the launch control mode. We can set different RPMs for the launch control, 1,300 increments of 100 RPM, which is pretty cool. But the coolest mode of the entire car is this. If you click on trans brake and then you click this button right here, look at this. We've got this readout that looks really complex, but it's actually really simple. It's showing us the available torque over time in increments of 0.1 seconds. So essentially, this allows us to dial in the torque. If you believe that like 30 miles an hour, let's say 0.4 seconds into the run, you're spinning, you can dial back the torque on this display. This is showing us right now, it's sensing what the optimal amount of torque in this environment we can do is that blue line. Right now it's set to this, which would be aggressive. It goes instantly to 1,100 pound-feet of torque after 0.1 seconds. B is a more conservative mode. You can see those lines are closer together. And C is for kind of a slippery condition with even less torque. But I think it is so cool that you can adjust the trans brake programming to that level of control. And to activate the trans brake, you simply hold the paddle down, floor the gas, and to launch the car, you let go of the paddle, and boom, you're off 0 to 60 in 1.66 seconds. How ridiculous is that? Now, the transmission shifted into drive. We go like this. Over there for manual mode, we've got the paddles. I'm not the biggest fan of the paddles. They're only on the top here. They feel a little bit plasticky. And on the bottom, there isn't actually a paddle. It's more controls for the multimedia system, as you can see right there. But overall, it's a very comfortable place to be. We've got leather throughout the interior, and it does not feel like a car that would have 1,025 horsepower when you're just sitting in it. So what's it actually like to drive? Well, let's take it out on the road and find out. 0 to 60 in the Demon 170. This thing is absolutely insane. And it honestly sounds really, really good. But I think the most surprising part of the Demon 170 is the fact that it drives like a normal Hellcat or a normal Challenger when you're just driving around town. We've got an 8-speed automatic transmission. It's 4,200 pounds. The seats are plush, and it just kind of glides over the road. Unless you're full on the gas, it doesn't feel like a super intimidating vehicle to drive, which is a very, very impressive feat to achieve in a 1,025 horsepower car. The other thing that really surprised me is it puts the power down to the ground incredibly well. I thought this would just be an absolute burnout machine that would get no traction whatsoever, but it actually does seem to be able to lay down the power when you step on the gas. I mean, that was fully foot to the floor, and it's not spinning. That is a big testament to those massive Mickey Thompson ET Street R's on the back 315s with a 17-inch wheel, so it's got a massive sidewall. The whine, the supercharger whine is insane. Hellcats are known for their whine, and it gets even more extreme with this 3-liter supercharger in the Demon 170. They're only bringing 3,000 of these to the US, so they are going for a heavy markup. Base price of this, $96,666, 666, hence the Demon reference. Options get pretty crazy. I mean, you can get a sunroof for $10,000, which seems a little bit absurd. You can get carbon fiber wheels for $11,500. It comes standard with just one seat, so to option in the rest of the seats, that's $2,000. To get these leather seats, I believe it's another $6,000. So the options do climb from there, but if you get a stripped down one, and you can get one for MSRP, $96,666 for 1,025 horsepower is actually a very good deal when you think about it. All right, on the gas. Wow. Yeah, it is really, really quick. My gosh. Now, obviously, getting that 1.66 second 0 to 60 is nearly impossible. I've ran about 10 0 to 60 runs. It said the recent one was 3.5. The best I've done so far is 3.3. So realistically, that's what you're going to get when you're running this on the street. If you're on a drag surface with perfect prep, perfect DA, perfect conditions, maybe you'll get into the 2s. Getting that 1.66, I think, honestly, was like a 1 in a million opportunity. But hey, if you get one of these, it would be a fun challenge to see if you can ever get that 1.66 seconds, and if you could break into the 9s with the Demon 170. Honestly, for a $100,000 car, the interior isn't insane. I mean, we've got carbon fiber kind of throughout that is pretty. We've got leather, we've got Alcantara, but it doesn't scream, hey, I'm a $100,000 car by any means. But the really cool part is you could drive this to a Cars and Coffee, you could drive it to a car meet, you could drive it to go get groceries, and it's comfortable. It's easy to drive. The paddles are very responsive for an 8-speed automatic transmission, particularly on the upshifts. You've got different drive modes to select from, clicking this SRT button right here. We've got all of these performance pages that I went over a little bit earlier, but I think it's pretty cool. We can shift between various drive modes. Right now it shows high ethanol detected because we are on E85. We've got 1,025 horsepower. If we run it on 91, which is most likely what you're going to be running, you get 900 horsepower and 810 pound-feet of torque, which is still ridiculous. That's still more power than the first generation Demon just on pump gas. It's not like you're really lacking much. And you can change the traction, the suspension settings. If we put it into drag mode, activating drag mode right now, drag transmission, drag traction, drag suspension. Now everything turns red. Now the cool part is we've got this red key that they've had with the Hellcat since its inception. It's got the Demon logo here on it, and it has yellow for the DE and the ON to show that this thing runs on corn E85, which is of course yellow. And then that's Demon over there, but you don't get a black key. There is no valet key for this absolute monster because, well, you shouldn't give this vehicle to your valet. Now you've got some creature comforts in here. You've got heated and cooled seats, which is pretty wild in a 1,000 horsepower car. You've also got, of course, Bluetooth for your speaker system, and you do have rear seats, although if I was gonna get one of these, I'd probably option out those rear seats. I gotta give a special shout out to the owner of this car, OC Motivator. He's got an awesome YouTube channel as well as Instagram, so make sure to check that out. Give him a follow for letting me drive this car. It is pretty darn ridiculous. Now, they are trading for, you know, $180,000 plus. Do I think it's worth it for that price? No, but I think for MSRP, it's one heck of a car for the money. And it actually kinda can go around turns. I mean, it's not only for the straight line performance, but I wouldn't take this to the track. I think that would be an absolute death trap of a vehicle. But man, surprisingly comfortable, sounds awesome, and of course, the performance is out of this world. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I'll look forward to seeing you next video.